Alrighty. I think that's it. I think we're live.
And
What up,
coming in from
Grindelson?
Madonna, welcome to the book club for this week.
Yay! It's book
Tuesday
club
night.
night. Hello, everyone. My name is Natalie. This is my channel, my so-called Gen X Life, where I talk about all things 70s, 80s, and 90s. Tonight it is book club night. Tuesday nights we'd like to read up in here. I know a lot of people don't like to read anymore, but I still do, and so does Grendelson. Thank you for joining me, Grendelson, my sub and my channel member. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Yay! Dan remembered the book club. Woohoo! Uh-oh, we're getting some bitterness in chat. Not too much. I probably started the bitterness because we got somebody came in and started off the chat telling us that we didn't like the fourth turning. I Gen X'd it and was like, I don't care what you think. So I was probably a little bitter.
No. They came in here and started some stuff,
Yeah. And I get it if you don't subscribe to this theory, if you have criticism of this theory, I totally get it. It's not perfect, it's not 100% right, but don't be coming into the chat and being like, this is stupid, this is BS, I hate it. That's just, I don't want to hear all that. So if you have criticisms, that's fine, but don't be an ass.
And legitimately, if you have criticisms, back them up.
Yes.
I mean, seriously, just say. I would love to hear what their criticisms are. Because
I would too. That was kind of cowardly to just come in before the chat before the stream started, say that kind of a thing, and then bounce out.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll show up for the main event.
The actual stream.
I
guess we'll find out.
I can't remember what their name was.
Good. Bitterness wasn't me. Well, that's good.
I don't think it was. But I thought it was an ostentatious way to begin our week of book club, and just super excited to talk tonight about the history of what is it? History of
the cycles of history. Mm-hmm.
History of motorcycles, like the and the Triumph. The three greatest motorcycle brands in history.
What was it? Triumph. What were your three brands? I didn't hear you.
Harley, Indian, and Triumph.
Okay, that tracks. That tracks.
I mean,
I'll agree with that.
BMW, but
yeah, BMW is pretty strong too. But yeah, Indian and Harley. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think you're right. I'm not much on. I mean, I don't know a ton about motorcycles, but I'll agree with you.
And I would put Honda at the top of the Japanese chain, but nothing past 1980.
Yeah. My grandpa was a cyclist. He liked he was in his retirement years. I think he had a Yamaha. That doesn't sound right. He had some big it wasn't a Harley. It was but anyways, yeah. I could never motorcycle or bike across the country like he did. I think that's scary.
I'm a wannabe gearhead. I am actually not allowed to get a motorcycle while my mom is still breathing. So I made a promise to her. My godfather passed away when I was like 3 due to a motorcycle accident.
Well, that'll do it. That'll do it. I mean, they're not safe. I mean, they're a very dangerous form of transportation. You got to know what you're doing and be alert. But anyways, fourth turning night, cycles of history in the Great Champion, the chapters 4 and 5. We're going to get into the kind of the core mechanisms of Strauss and Howe's generational theory, which is about how recurring generational archetypes drive these predictable 80 to 100 year cyclical patterns. So in the first couple of weeks, we've talked about how there's different concepts of time. Basically, here in the United States, we've really been big on linear time, just constant progress, constant going forward. But Strauss and Howe have pointed out that in the olden days, they were much more big into cyclical time, and they've kind of they have laid out their historical proof as to why they believe in cyclical time and how things are very predictable pattern-wise based on the people and the generations that are alive and in power at the time and their different stages of life. So tonight we're going to be connecting the dots a little bit with the different turnings, the different archetypes, and kind of lay the groundwork, because next week we're getting into the actual turnings week by week. Starting off on, do you have anything else to add before we get started here?
Yeah, just was going to say, if you have been following along with us over the last several weeks with the generations and fourth turning, most of what we're going to go over again tonight is going to seem real familiar. It's kind of the recaps of where we are, but it's also, hey, we're going to show you our work. We're not just going to say this, which to me, I mean, that's super important. Into, you got to show your work. You can't just say things like this doesn't work. You have to say, boom, this is why it works, and this is what's going on. This is 100% that repeats. So,
yes. They've definitely shown their work. They go back centuries.
More than they go way back.
Yeah, and another thing, with the criticism that came out that wrote that first comment about the 20 years thing doesn't work and doesn't track. Well, if anybody that's read this book at least this far will know that it's not about specific dates and specific times. It's not exactly 20 years. It's not exactly 80 years for the Seculum. There are definitely ebbs and flows to this, and then there's shorter spans and longer spans. So, but again, it's all in rhythms, and it's all based on the different generations and the different types of people that are in their respective stages of life. And that's what kind of drives the force of history and the cycle of history. And it's not just history in general. They go through here in chapter 4, and they're going to show you different cycles in different things, from politics to economics to culture. So there's cycles everywhere if you look and see and really kind of look for them. So
the entire universe is based on cycles.
Yeah, exactly.
All of our existence is based on cycles. At the very least, it's the rotation of the Earth, the orbit of the Earth around the sun, the orbit of the sun in the galaxy,
the moon and the lunar cycles and all of that good stuff. So everything's cyclical.
It is.
So I thought this was a very interesting way to start off chapter 4 in Cycles of History. They start off here, and I'll bring up the book.
Some good research at baby boomers. You were the only one 75 at the cookout. You're the only 75 you're born, or?
1975. Yeah. Wow. Nice.
That's fun. I love going to family reunions.
They're a good time. I'm trying to make more of them happen in my own family. After reading these books, it's made it more important to me.
Well, someday I'll tell the stories of the various Mormon family reunions I've had to go through. I was married to an ex-Mormon.
Oh my goodness! I bet that was fun. That was good times.
I have stories.
So they open up chapter 4 with quite an interesting observation. The 4 presidents carved onto Mount Rushmore embodied the 4 generational archetypes. They're not in chronological birth order, but in the repeating cycle order. It's not a coincidence. It's a visual metaphor for how these archetypes interact to build and renew civilizations. Starting off with Washington, the nomad, the pragmatic, resilient survivor. Then Hero Jefferson, the team-oriented builder and conqueror of crisis. Artist Theodore Roosevelt, sensitive, process-oriented conciliators, and the prophet Lincoln, visionary, values-driven idealist. So as each archetype ages into new life phases, childhood, young adulthood, midlife, and elderhood, it reshapes society's mood, creating the 4 turnings. So that's what creates the 4 turnings, are the different moods of society, and the society's mood is dependent on the different archetypes and what phase of life that they are in. Basically, right now, okay, so we're in the millennium cycle, right? We're at the end of the millennium cycle, which started at the beginning of World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So we're at the very end of it. So let's start off with, well, let's see here. Let's go over the different archetypes. I think that's one thing that I want to make sure that we've got really nailed down here. So let me get this. This sucks because the online book is so different from my book here. We're getting there. Son of a nutcracker. I'll get there. Archetypes in American History, which is on page 99. It's page 99 in my book, but it's like page 120 something or 30 something in my.
Yeah, I have it on 135.
Yeah, 135. Okay. Well, here it's not there either. Okay, I'm just gonna make shit up. I'm past it. I'll get there. Sorry, guys. The different pages on my books really messed me up. I'm just looking for page 99 from my book, Archetypes and Turnings, and then nope. Hold on. I promise I'm not this disoriented. Okay, let's just go to Archetypes in American History. The origin of the American cycle. I guess I should probably start there. All right. I'm sorry. We'll start over. Take two. Right. So the different archetypes are nomad, hero, artist, and prophet. So Gen X is your nomad.
Yep.
And millennials are your heroes. Your Gen Z is your artists, and your prophets currently are the baby boomers. So that's your different archetypes. And as we get through this chapter, we will be defining those archetypes as we go through.
You know what I just thought about?
What'd you just think about? Gen
Alpha is also now the prophet type.
Yes, Gen Alpha is the next prophet. So, and as they are, that's why I'm not 100% sure on the way that they have divided up Gen Z and Gen Alpha, because I feel like they have Gen Z, like in the current landscape of things, Gen Z is like 1997 to 2012. I think that's too short. I personally, I think you should probably take it to 2018, 2019, and then Gen Alpha starts during the 2020s, but maybe I'm wrong. What do you think about how they have, because that's a really short generation, 1997 to 2012. That's only 15 years.
I mean,
and then if you have millennials at only 81 to 96, that's only 15 years. So they're really shortening the generations according to Pew Research.
Yeah, that's why Pew's full of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just face it, they're shortening it. You can't just arbitrarily shorten the generations when the cycle has been 18 to 22 to 23, or even some of them are 25.
So, right, yeah, exactly.
You can't just arbitrarily shorten them without a decent explanation, and they have yet to really come across with a decent explanation,
right?
Other than declining birth rates, which the birth rates have only been starting to seriously decline in the last couple of years,
right?
Although they've been on the but the birth rate, but
I just hate going by birth rates.
They're just going by birth rates, though. The population is still increasing.
Yeah, and it should go by historical, cultural moments, not by, not by birth rate. So I personally believe that millennials go until about 2000, 2001. And then I would start Gen Z in the post 9/11 world, or somewhere around there, in that area.
Yeah, I generally think that if you can remember 9/11, you're a millennial. If you can't, you're Gen Z.
Exactly. And then if you can remember COVID, you're a Gen Z, and if you don't, then you're an Alpha.
Right. Yeah, because my kid is 2006.
Right.
Totally remembers COVID. No problem.
Right.
Kids
the
adult.
Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha is going to be 20. And see, that's it's a 19-year gap between major events.
Right.
G, which is almost around the time of a generation. Go figure.
I know, right?
And the thing about remembering, that gives you a whole margin of error. You know what I mean? Because everybody's memory is different. For example, my earliest memory is like from when I was 18 months old, but it's like the earliest one. Okay, that's just my earliest memory, and it's at Disneyland, which I went to a million times. So, yeah, as a little kid. So that's just ingrained in my head.
Sure.
But like I remember other things from like when I was 3 or 4, really highly, developed. So, that's like 3 or 4. When you're 3 or 4, maybe 5 on other side. My kid can't remember anything older than when he was like 6. You know? Maybe because because he's been around weed too much.
Right. So your memories are so when you're on the cusps, your memories of things are going to vary.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
But I really think starting Gen Z in the late 90s is dumb. And I don't agree with that at all. I think Gen Z starts around 2000 and
2000, 99, 2000 at the earliest.
Yeah. And then goes until the late teens. I mean, I just think that makes perfect sense, which means that Gen Alpha will be born in the crisis and into the first turning. So that again tracks with the theory here. So also, I don't think Gen X is giving birth to Gen Alpha. So I think because Gen X is pretty much done having kids.
Pretty much, yeah.
So I mean, I'm on the younger side of Gen X, and I'm 48. So I think that there could be some outliers, but I think that Gen Alpha is millennial, are babies of the millennials. And then maybe even Gen Z, but definitely not Gen X.
Yeah, Gen X gave birth. I mean, most generations will give birth to at most 2 generations.
Right.
And it's usually the 2 generations that follow them, not the third. So you've got Gen X being parents to millennials and Gen Z.
Yep.
But Gen Alpha, only a few. There's only going to be the youngest Gen X could theoretically be the parents of the youngest alphas. And I'm sure there will be a few outliers because there always are.
Always are. But in general,
for the most part.
Yeah. So I'm glad we got that cleared up as far as where we think the generations are. And that's, this book was written in 97. And so, it's projecting into the future, and we're kind of filling in the blanks as we go along here. As we read, we're filling in the blanks of our current millennial cycle. So,
and as we get to the fourth turning is here, they'll even update everything going forward as well.
Yep. Absolutely. So, and they take millennials into the mid 2000s, which I think is a little much, but again, so the American origin of the American cycle. So the American cycle has its roots in Anglo-Saxon culture, European culture, going back into the Elizabethan generation with Shakespeare, and even earlier. It goes back actually into the 1400s. So it starts back there. We're not going to dive into all that. But yeah, so it starts back in Anglo-Saxon culture, and then the American archetypes start basically in the early 19th century when the I guess you would call the native born, when the people that were in America were actually born there, once we got past the 18th century and that wave of immigration. So archetypes in American history. One thing I wanted to point out, they said on page 96 in my book, but it's who knows where on this page. I really need to get myself together on this. It's right past this. Hold on. This is one thing I definitely want to point out. Okay, well, Anyways, I'll just read it. Notice how the 4 archetypes follow each other in a recurring sequence. This is one thing I really wanted to point out. The 4 archetypes always follow each other in a recurring sequence. Each archetype encounters both an awakening and a crisis once at some point in its life cycle, and always encounters these eras at precisely the same phase of life. Notice how location in history shapes younger generations and is shaped by older generations in a predictable manner. So basically, we're always in the same order. It always starts, the prophets always are always, they're the children of the first turning. They're the children of the American high. Mm-hmm. That's the prophets. That's the boomers. Then they are always followed by nomads, which would be the Generation X. Nomads are always followed by the heroes, which is millennials. And then the heroes are always followed by the artists, which are Gen Z. It always goes in that pattern. It doesn't go from prophet to hero to artist to nomad. Like, it doesn't do that. It's always prophet, nomad, hero, artist. So that recurrence, that constant is what generates the different turnings. So that's one thing I wanted to point out.
Of course, except that one time after the Civil War.
Yeah, except for the Civil War anomaly.
There's always
an anomaly, and we could be in an anomaly. And I've said it, over and over again. I'm still not 100% convinced that millennials are the heroes that they are supposed to be. I could be wrong. They could be making their way out and totally change my mind in the next 6 to 12 months. But and then again, they're the ones that are supposed to be like, I don't know, they're the saviors of the community. They're the the civic generation. I don't know. We could be in another anomaly. That's definitely a possibility.
I think more than likely the millennials are going to be the anomaly.
Well, I can't hear you. What'd you say?
I think more than likely the millennials will be the anomaly, because I think they're going to skip that hero generation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I don't know if, I just don't see them being the heroes that they're supposed to be. I hope I'm wrong.
We all hope we're wrong. That's the thing about being Gen X and being cynical. Yeah, we're cynical. We definitely are. We're cynical. We're sarcastic. We are depressed. But we're also weirdly optimistic, because we have seen good times. We've known what it's like to live in a decent society.
Yep. We've lived during an awakening, and the younger generations have not lived in an awakening.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they didn't get the Morning in America. They didn't get the roaring 90s.
And I think this is at the crux of the generational wars that are on social media right now, with all the younger, like millennials and Gen Z being like,
I agree 100%.
Boomers got the $10,000 house and they could live on a minimum wage, and they could, they had this whole idea of what boomer life was like, and Gen X gets clumped in with that a lot.
Yep.
But it's what they're mad about is that the boomers and even part of Gen X were around during the American high and during the awakening, and they have never been able to live through an American high or an awakening. So they're jealous of that, and they want that. And it's coming. Good news.
It's FOMO on a macro level.
Yes.
It's seriously what it is. It's like, it's FOMO on such a macro level. They're sitting there whining to each other that we didn't get the good times.
Right.
We've only just known crap in our entire life. And there is a truth to that. There's truth to that. But the thing is you don't just take that, you make your own good times.
Exactly.
And that's the difference. They aren't stepping up. They're not. They haven't. We have coddled them and told them that they were special. They believed it. but they don't know how to live it.
No. Yeah. And they have no skills to, like, they were always coddled so much, and everything's been so directed from their how they play to how they communicate, interact with each other. So now they have no skills when it comes to communication, when it comes to just living life. There's been this whole thing on Twitter this past couple of weeks about how Gen Z and even younger millennials have to always order DoorDash, and they're always spending $28 on lunch. And apparently Gen Z, DoorDash is like 40% of their food, which is something that, and they're all saying that boomers and Gen X were able to eat fast food whenever they wanted, and yada, yada, yada. And they're just doing what, and we're like, no, we used to like pack our lunch, and we cook and we budget, and like, it's just this big disconnect over what they thought life was like back then and what they think life is supposed to be now. We've just really, they have been sold a bill of goods that they have warped around in their mind. And I don't know how we get through that. I mean, I know that when we were younger, and even our parents, they lived in 1,000 square foot homes and had one bathroom and maybe one family car and one TV. And you got to go out maybe for food, go out and eat maybe once a month, maybe. I don't know.
With 3 channels and no remote control.
Yeah. So it's like,
and by the way, that aerial thing too, I remember that.
Yeah. But it's like there's so much abundance and wealth and technology around them, and they see so much success and so many good things but they think they have to have it now when they're 25 or when they're 30. And it's like, it's like, that's not how it works. And, everybody struggles. Almost everybody does, especially when you're younger. Like, you don't get to have the 3,000 square foot house and the BMW to drive, or the Mercedes or whatever, and order out. Like, just the levels of standard of living has really been kind of warped, I feel like. Do you feel like that, or am I just totally making that up?
No, it's definitely true. And what was I going to say? I had something to say about that. And I just, sorry.
That's all right. Well, let's get into the different turnings. No worries.
I had something good. I was like, I had something triggered up, but I was like, what was it going to be?
Yeah. Well, maybe I
had a Cheech and Chong moment. So.
Yeah, it happens. There's
something about, let me think about what it
was. That's okay. So, we're going to go through the turnings, but I'm going to go through them in a different way. I'm going to go through it the Gen X way. Gen X was born during the second turning. So the second turning is an awakening. This is the era that Gen X was born into. The older nomads disappear and the new nomads are being born. This was 1963-ish to 1983-ish.
Yep.
Old nomads disappeared. The heroes entered elderhood. Artists enter midlife. Prophets enter young adulthood, and a new generation of child nomads is born. So the second turning is what Gen X was born into. 1964 to 1984 is kind of the second turning years. The third turning is the unraveling. This is 84 to about 2008. So it's a little bit longer, but we lived in a very long unraveling. So during the unraveling, the old heroes disappeared. The artists enter elderhood. The prophets entered midlife. The nomads, Gen X, entered young adulthood, and a new generation of child heroes was born, the millennials. The fourth turning is a crisis. Old artists disappear. Prophets, the boomers, enter elderhood. Nomads, Generation X, enter midlife. Heroes enter young adulthood, millennials, and a new generation of child or artists is born, Gen Z. The first turning, which we have not experienced yet, nobody here under the age of boomer has experienced a first turning. The first turning is a high. Old prophets disappear. Nomads enter elderhood. Hey, that's us. Heroes enter midlife. Artists enter young adulthood, and a new generation of prophets is born. So those are the different turnings. We have only experienced 3 of them as Gen Xers. What you think about that? Pretty much self-explanatory.
It's interesting because, like, the fourth turning, we have the nomads enter midlife. We're definitely well on our way to midlife because the heroes, some of them are actually entering midlife now. The older millennials are starting to hit 40.
Right. Well, I would say, I mean, the youngest of the generation is just now hitting midlife. I'm 48, and so I would consider myself hitting midlife in the last 3 to 5 years. So it's the
for sure. It's the third turn. Our third turning was extremely long.
Yes.
Our second turning was conversely somewhat short.
Yeah.
So
it goes into the Reagan era, so early 80s.
Right. Whereas the first turning was relatively long. You know, that post-war period before we were born was
a solid 20 years. Yeah.
Solid 20 years up until almost, from the late because you got to remember it did during the war. The last couple of years of the war when America was winning,
right.
It was a good time, and then we won.
Yeah, 43, 44, 45. That was kind of the start of the. Really that was the start of the. Yeah.
Once D-Day happened in 44, then things kind of went, we knew it was inevitable.
The American high.
Yeah, we started out on the high, and that lasted up until Kennedy, really. So Kennedy's assassination was the end of the
American high.
Yeah, Kennedy.
Yep.
You can point to it. You're like, that was it.
There is no question.
They killed the president. That was it. The last one, 1865. Yeah, that was the end too. Okay.
Rachel likes it when I go into professor mode. I try. I'm trying to lead a discussion and not be too nerdy.
No, it's that you got the journalism chops still. They're still there. You can feel it because you present the book like you're presenting a news piece.
Do I?
Yeah. Hey, no, that's a compliment.
Oh, good.
No, I'm not. I don't No. I wanted to be a journalist at one point.
Yeah.
My first major at SDSU was journalism.
Nice.
For a whole year. Yeah.
Hey, I got to use that journalism degree somehow.
Same. I got that English degree from UCLA. It would be hanging on my wall if I didn't owe them money still. So
I should get my degree out and put it in the back for the book club. But the funny thing is about my journalism degree is that I graduated in 2000. Well, 2001 was the year that KU brought in all their digital marketing majors and digital media online majors. So my degree became literally like extinct or irrelevant within 6 months of me walking the hill because everything turned to digital. So, but there's still certain things about it that I can use. So, yay.
I graduated 20 years ago this month.
20 years ago this month.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have any kind of reunions to go to?
Nah. I don't think so. But it's funny. I'm still Facebook friends with 2 teachers.
Yeah.
2 teachers and like 3 friends.
That's what Facebook is for.
Yeah. I mean, believe it or not, I have over 50 Facebook friends from high school.
Oh, wow. That's kind of about where I'm at. I don't ever look at my Facebook, but when I do, it's for either to get in touch with a family member or to somebody from high school.
That's my main social media, but what am I? I mean, I don't do Twitter. I don't do Instagram. I'll do Facebook.
Yeah.
That's about it. Reddit, Facebook and Reddit.
The first turning is the American high, Jamie, just so you know. The unraveling is the third turning. So let's go back over that real quick just so we know what's what. First turning is the high. That would be the post-World War II years up until the Kennedy assassination. The second turning is the awakening, which would have been Kennedy assassination up until Reagan's election in the early 80s. The third turning is the unraveling. So that would have been the 80s up until the 2008 financial crisis. We had a very long unraveling. And then the fourth turning is the crisis, which started around 2008, and we're still in it. But according to Strauss and Howe, we should be out of it by 2030 to 2032 at the latest, as we're going now.
And don't forget, the turnings are typically 20 to 25 years in length.
Right.
So they do typically overlap with the generations
but they're not perfectly aligned.
Yeah, it's not ever going to be a perfect delineation. You're not going to get perfect pie charts or anything. You get you gotta be able to make exceptions for the rules. You got to just realize, not every situation is going to fit right into your little pie.
Right. It never is. It comes to humans.
And that doesn't, and here's the thing, that doesn't discount your experience.
No, not at all.
It doesn't say that your experience is invalidated. It just says you're on the statistical cusp.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're, like if you, for example, if you, one of our chat members was mentioning that they're a Gen X and they have a Gen Alpha, which we said you were on the outlier. And they also mentioned that a lot of their friends are also Gen X who have Gen Alphas. Sure. There's going to be a group of people who are.
Yes, definitely.
If you happen to be in that group of people, you are going to tend to surround yourself with other people who tend to have the same situation. So that's, that is it's like, I know there's a word for it, but I can't remember it. And that's totally okay. That's what happens.
Sure.
In this kind of sociology, because again, it's not an exact science.
No, not at all. Not at all. And again, there's discussions about when Gen Z and Gen Alpha begins. And that's kind of what we're talking about. It's like, it's just the common theory right now is that Gen Alpha begins around 2012. And I don't really go along with that. I think it should be more like 2019. But if you know Gen Xers that have been having babies in the last 5 to 7 years, more power to you.
I mean, being the parents of 3 generations ain't a bad thing. The freaking boomers did it.
Right. That's true.
Definitely did it. They're the parents of 3 different generations for the most. Not for the. They're less parent. They're less of the parents of Z, but. They're still here too.
Well, and also, we talked about this last week, the fact that people are waiting until later to get married and have children. And so that will have an effect on the different generations and kind of where you fall as far as where your kids fall, I should say. So, it's quite possible that the oldest Gen Xers had the oldest or had the youngest millennials. We had all the Gen Z pretty much, and then we might have some of the first alphas. So, that's totally possible. But you just have to remember that there are fringes and there's exceptions and there's the rules. So that doesn't invalidate your experience by any means. So I don't want to think that.
That's not where we're at. That's not where we're at. That's not what we're talking about.
Right.
So don't take it personally. That's what. Don't take it personally if you happen to be like Natalie. You're on the cusp. You call yourself an exennial.
Yep.
Great. That's how you self-identify, and that's really what it is too. It's how do you self-identify?
Right.
If you want to be a Gen X and you're on the cusp, you're a Gen X.
Yeah. Not going to argue with that. No, not at all.
I mean, even if you're like born 1988 and you're like, I'm a Gen X, I'll be like, I don't think you are. Because I graduated high school in 1988. So
that's pushing it a little bit, but I would say that's pushing it because I think you have to remember some of the 80s in order to be Gen X. You're born in 88, you're not remembering the 80s. All right, like the 4 seasons of nature, the 4 turnings of history are equally necessary and equally important. Awakenings and crises are the secular solstices, summer and winter, each a solution to a challenge posed by the other. Highs and unravelings are the secular equinoxes, spring and autumn, each coursing a path directly opposed to the other. I think that's so great. I think that's a great way of kind of looking at it and being able to see it in your mind, how it works.
It's all about the yin yang too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you just think of everything as double yin yangs, one side is always up, the other side is always down. It's always a high, it's always a low.
And they'll always turn and they'll always come back.
Yeah.
So, it might be, it's impossible for us to see what our country looks like in 10 years from now, but trust and believe it won't look anything like it does now because it's going to shift.
Yeah. But if you go back and track these things as they are doing, they are doing in this very paragraph, in this very chapter, you go back and show your homework, you will see this is a freaking weird ass pattern.
Yeah. But it holds.
No, I don't get it. Whoa.
All right.
Whoa, you got a big old
looky there. 1999 super chat. Thank you, Chris Bullard 5901. Oh, it's Laughing from Discord. Laughing's one of my mods on Discord. Awesome. Thank you, Laughing. On the drawn out length of unraveling in crisis, consider the Dunning-Kruger effect is false and IQ has been dropping. 98 average is relative. You're effectively fighting more inertia, requiring more turmoil. That's a really good point. The drawn out length of the unraveling in crisis.
Yeah.
I like that. You're effectively fighting more inertia, requiring more turmoil. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. Great point. Thank you very much. I appreciate the super chat. It's very, very kind of you. All right. Let's get into the turnings.
Well, that was the term that I was looking for earlier.
What? What?
The Dunning-Kruger effect.
Dunning-Kruger effect? That's what you were trying to bring up? Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think about earlier, but my 420 brain didn't work properly.
Yeah. Well, Lappin totally got you.
Wow, we've done the same air. Yeah,
Gen X wavelength. I love it. All right. Not to get too in the weeds, but they're going to go over the different turnings. I don't know how much we really want to go through them because we're going to get really into them in the next 4 weeks. With each week, we're going to be doing the first turning, second, third, and fourth. So just real quick, going over it again. The first turning is a high. It brings a renaissance to community life. The second turning is an awakening, and it arrives with a dramatic challenge against the high's assumptions about benevolent reason and congenial institutions. The third turning is an unraveling, begins as a society-wide embrace of the liberating cultural forces set loose by the awakening. The fourth turning is a crisis. It arises in response to sudden threats that previously would have been ignored or deferred, but which are now perceived as dire. So that's a little bit about the turnings. We'll get more into those as we go throughout the next couple of weeks. But I did want to get to the moods. Let's get to the moods of the turnings, because it's not just about the times in history. It's about it. The moods are what determine these different turnings, and the moods are set by the generations and their place in life. So, moods of the turnings.
I found it.
It's there.
See the chart. I can follow along.
Charts. Okay.
Graphs.
So, first turning is the high. So when we get to the first turning, our generation, the nomads, will be in elderhood. And that's going to be amazing. I got to be honest. I think I'm good with first turning American High being in my elderhood. I think I like that. Gen X has gotten shat on throughout this whole theory, but I think that's a pretty nice.
I'm hoping I live long enough to see it.
There you go.
Seriously, I'm like, if it lasts another 6 or 7 years, I don't know.
I know, right? I'm glad you do too, Jamie. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Too old to enjoy it? I don't know. I mean,
no,
I don't think so. I enjoy life more and more as I go on.
I'm definitely still trying to enjoy everything that I get to do, especially right now since I haven't been able to get to do a whole lot lately because I've got my broken arm still.
Right.
So like little things like going to a movie, man, that was so fun. I'm just trying to enjoy what I can, and I can't wait to get back out into the real world and
Yep.
just start living life again.
100%. I hope that this summer is going to be.
I hope this
summer be a good summer.
Fun. I hope so.
Me too.
Weather's kind of weird so far.
All right. So the moods. Well, here, let's go to the crisis real fast. Fourth turning, which is what we're in right now. Yeah. Elderhood is the prophets, which are the boomers. Midlife is the nomad Gen Xers. Young adulthood is the hero millennials. And childhood are the artist Gen Zs. But we're getting ready to make a big turn here into the first. Right now, the moods of the fourth turning crisis: families strengthen, child nurture, overprotective. I would definitely say that. We have coddled these kids to the point where they don't even know how to pump their own gas, write their own name. Gap between gender roles is widening. Ideals are championed, institutions are founded, and culture is practical. The social structure is gravitating, worldview is simplifying, social priority is rising community, social motivator is stigma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Social motivator is stigma.
Yep. Ooh. Sense of greatest need is to fix your outer world. Vision of the future is urgent. Wars are total war. So that's where we're at now. In about 5 years, Lord willing, we'll get into the first turning, where the families are strong, child nurturing is loosening, gaps between gender roles are maximum, ideals are settled, institutions reinforced, and culture is innocent. Social structure unified, worldview simple, social priority maximum community, social motivator shame, sense of greatest need do what works, vision of future brightening, wars are restorative.
The only problem, of course, the only problem we have here is that the reason that these.
I lost you on. I can't hear you. Say it again. I'm losing you.
Weird. Oh, there we go. What I was going to say is, come back.
I've totally lost you. I can't hear you at all.
Their streams messed up.
There we go. Now I just found you.
Weird.
I know.
What I was going to say is that the reason that these moods are so drastically different, though, is because of the actual crisis is that bad.
Right.
You know, so we gotta really. We're in this crisis now. It's not over. The worst is yet to come. So we really gotta buckle down. And it isn't, you know, honestly, I don't think it's about which side wins, because ultimately, there's no winners or losers.
Right.
You know, because we have to keep going.
And they talk about that when they get into the Civil War anomaly in this chapter. Right. They really get into that as how, the outcome was a decent outcome. It could have been better, could have been worse. But what happened from those outcomes of the Civil War into the Reconstruction era that, you know, bled into the, you know, the Jim Crow South and all that stuff. So the way that the Civil War was settled in its not ideal way causes what happens in the upcoming turning. So, you know, I mean, put that in now, it doesn't really matter how it settles, but it's going to settle and it's going to affect moving forward.
You know, that is a period of history that nobody studies very well.
The late 19th century, post-Civil War.
19th century, post-Civil War restoration. Yeah, people do not understand what this country went through in order to get us back on track, and what actual compromises had to be versus what could have been.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Certain things had got, you know, certain people had grown backbones. I don't know.
Yeah. You know, I mean, but you know, you can't, it's hard to
quarterback 150 years later.
Exactly. Like it's a whole different world, you know? And so
I have the hindsight of being able to read history and know.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jamie, you're right. It's still affecting us.
I'm not wrong.
It's still affecting us, but the thing is, we don't really understand even how it's affecting us, because we just can't even really understand what life was like back then and what they, you know, it's like, it's a whole different world, a whole different country, a whole different economy, a whole different it was just a different, like, it's hard to really.
Well, I mean, think about this. The Democratic Party as it exists today did not exist at the end of the Civil War.
I can't hear what you're saying. The Democratic Party, what?
The Democratic Party as it exists today didn't even exist by the end of the Civil War.
Right. And the Republicans had just been created. Yeah. So like it's that's one thing that I was wanting to get into, not too much because I don't want to get into specific politics, but the changing of the parties, as far not changing, but just emerging new ones.
Oh yeah.
I think that we probably are seeing that now. I don't think that the Democrats and Republicans, like the party organizations that we have now, will still exist as we know it in 10 years. I think it's going to be completely different.
God, I would love that. I would love to go into my old age going, I remember when we had only 2 parties. And they both sucked. Oh, look, we've got all sorts of good things.
Yeah, right. I think we're going to see, and it even goes through it, and we're not there yet to the page, but there is a political cycle. They have a whole section about political cycles and how the parties change, new parties form and emerge. And I think we're in that now. I think we're going to see different political parties emerge and form over the next few years, or break up. Like they're just, and it's already started. I mean, the Democrats and Republicans of 20 years ago are not the Democrats and Republicans of today. And, it's just, they're just changing. They're different. So, yeah. So
Nixon Republicans are not the current Republicans, that's for sure.
Yeah. And Reagan Democrats aren't the current I mean, it's just, it changes. And that's the thing, is like, just knowing that this is how it goes, and it's almost kind of comforting to know that the cycle's holding and the things are happening, and this isn't some crazy thing that nobody's ever experienced before. So I don't know. So let's see here.
The Civil War is being fought in China.
Civil War is being fought in the chat.
I'm kidding, but I'm not.
Let's not get too on each other.
No.
Okay. This is all for fun and for discussion.
We're not reenacting, okay?
Oh yeah, exactly. We do that down here, every year where I'm at. We have a Civil War reenactment down the road.
When I was growing up, for some reason, my parents were really into the Civil War, and I theorize it's because it was the 100th anniversary of the Civil War, right around the 60 to 65, right? So I think that the Civil War was reignited in pop culture, and like there's just something happened in the 60s where people really got into it. My dad and my uncle were very into it. I grew up playing with their Civil War toys. They had little Civil War, like Army men, Mark's figures. I don't know if you know them, but Mark's Toy Company used to put out little plastic figures of everything.
Yeah.
And they made Civil War, and I used to play with them. So yeah, it was.
Well, throughout the 80s, we had the miniseries.
Yeah, the Ken Burns. Yeah.
Well, we had the Ken Burns documentary, I think it was in the 90s, but in the 80s, we had the miniseries. North and South and Blue and the Gray and all that stuff.
Those were good. Gettysburg. Yeah.
Gettysburg and all that stuff. Glory. We had a lot of Civil War films and miniseries in the 80s. And then we got the documentary from Ken Burns, I think it was in the 90s. But yeah, so there was definitely a lot of Civil War type things still in our popular culture. I'd say up until about 9/11, and then it kind of went away. And I can't think of anything big, like movie wise or cultural wise, that was very Civil War focused in the 21st century. I could be wrong.
There hasn't been anything in a while, I guess, mostly because of the cancel culture has made it,
It's hard to talk about because people don't want to.
Yeah, it's hard to talk about
things.
And listen, I'm not a fan of that bullshit. Okay?
Yeah. I want to talk about it.
Bullshit. Listen, it's a flag. A flag's a fucking flag, okay?
Yeah.
It's not a swastika. I mean, I know.
No, it is not.
Listen, I don't particularly want to see it flying, but, if you want to fly it.
Right.
You want to put it on the put it on the hood of your 68 Charger.
Little General Lee.
and have your horn play Dixie and
like Bo and Luke Duke.
Arrows with TNT on it. Well, then I'll be there every Friday night at 8:00. Okay.
100%. Just a good old boy.
Never made
no harm. Beats all you ever saw. Been in trouble with the law since the day they was born. I love me some Dukes of Hazzard. Okay.
Same.
Back to the book. Cycles of History.
Believe it or not. Same. I love it.
I love it. In linear time, so here's we go. America has been running on linear time our whole existence. But in linear time, there would be no turnings, just segments along one directional path of progress. Each 20-year segment would produce more of everything produced by the prior segment. On a chart, every cell in any given row would read just like the one before, except with a higher multiplier. The 2020s would be a mere extrapolation of the 1990s, with more cable channels and web pages and senior benefits and corporate free agents, plus more handgun murders, media violence, cultural splintering, political cynicism, youth alienation, partisan meanness, and distance between rich and poor. There would be no apogee, no leveling, and no correction. Eventually, America would veer totally out of control along some bizarre centrifugal path. That's not good. In cyclical time, a society always evolves. Usually the circle is a spiral of progress, sometimes a spiral of decline. Always people strive to mend the errors of the past, to correct the excesses of the present, to seek a future that provides whatever feels most in need. Thus can civilization endure and thrive. I'm a cycle girl, not a linear time girl. I think it's official. Nothing? No? Okay. Uh-oh. Who's offended about stuff? There's no need to be offended about things. We're all just having a discussion. All right. Rhythms in history. So there's rhythms in everything in history. And they go through in this chapter and they talk about politics, they talk about economy, family and society, population, social disorder, culture. So they go through all of those things and show all of the different cycles. So
again, they show their work.
Huh?
They show their work.
Yeah, definitely. They definitely show their work.
Yeah, if you want to get into the weeds, go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That we talked already about the second best known cycle theory of American politics is the party realignment cycle, which we just talked about, which coincides perfectly with the seculum every 40 years or so. Always during a crisis or awakening, a new realigning election gives birth to a new political party system. And I think that's what we're going to see probably in 28, would be my guess. Like completely.
Also kind of does give a little bit more credence to the anomaly, because that was the last full turning cycle.
Yeah, right.
That we had that anomaly with the no, there's been a cycle in between. I forgot.
Oh yeah. You've had the cycle from from the Civil War to the World War II. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah,
the weird cycle.
So what I think I was really was kind of an interesting thing that I really hadn't thought about was when they talked about foreign affairs.
Yeah.
Many people might suppose that that nothing could be more random than changes in America's foreign policy. What pattern, after all, can possibly account for the global accidents of war and statecraft? Most diplomatic historians suppose the same thing until 1952, when the scholar Frank L. Klingberg discovered a historical alternation of moods in American foreign policy. He explained, this was it right here that I really liked. He explained the clear difference between a mere event and society's response to the event. And I've talked about this before, but this is a big one. The event and the response. Whatever the provocation, he showed, America's response depends on whether the prevailing mood is ticking toward introversion or talking towards extroversion. So again, it depends on what part where we are in the cycle, where we are in the turnings will determine our foreign affairs and how we respond to different events. And I never really thought about that in the context of foreign affairs. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it just goes to show that they can apply the cycle theory to almost anything.
Yeah.
And given the right parameters, it works.
Yeah, it sure does, because it's all based on the people and their place where they are in their life cycle. Yeah.
It's all based on the seculum of life.
Yeah, so it makes sense that all of these behaviors make sense. In the economy section, my favorite line that I highlighted was, "Near the end of a crisis, a healthy economy is reborn."
Oh God, I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
Come on. I mean, honestly, not being able to drive for the last 2 months hasn't been terrible because I haven't really been following gas prices.
Yeah.
And so that's probably why I'm not as depressed as I should be.
Fair enough. Okay. Family and society. Let's see here on page 112 in my book.
Which is like 156 in the freaking.
Yeah, it's so off that it's hard for me to keep up.
It is. If you're following along on the free version.
Yeah. Let's see. Family and society. There's a certain part here.
When Betty Friedan wrote The Feminine Dispute.
Yeah. Ugh. I don't want to get into that.
Are you a Susan Sontag fan?
I'm not even going to get into my views on this stuff because I don't want to. I don't want to go down this road.
Probably.
I'm about as far from a feminist as you can get. So, let's see here. Here we go. In a high, people want to belong. In an awakening, to defy. In an unraveling, to separate. And in a crisis, to gather. Among racial and ethnic minorities, these attitudes play a very conspicuous role in shaping the dominant strategy for group advancement. During the seculum following Appomattox, we went all of that there. Okay, whatever the size of a person's group, he or she is more likely to feel fairly treated in a high, where a shame ethos fosters togetherness and gratitude, and victimized in an unraveling, where a guilt ethos fosters separateness and blame. When individuals see themselves standing outside the system as a minority or as individuals, their objective varies with the season. In a high, they want to show they are able to join. In an unraveling, they want to show they don't need to join. Oh, that was a very interesting take on family and society. That it depends on how you react to things. Depends on the time of the, where you are in the cycle. In the high, you want to show you're able to join. In an unraveling, you want to show that they don't need to.
Yeah. It doesn't, we do need to get together, though. I think.
Yeah. That'd be nice. Let's see here. Where are we at here? Social disorder, culture. So, yeah.
Social disorder, what a great thing.
I know. What is that? Let's get into the very end here of the culture section.
Because we got to get to Barbara
yeah.
presents The Great Champion.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think we're going to spend more than 5 minutes on that, but I could be wrong. Accidents and anomalies. Okay, here we go.
Accidents and Anomalies. That sounds like a Smiths album.
That's what I should have named this podcast. This tonight's episode, Accidents and Anomalies.
Oh
here we go. We like to think that we are total masters of our destiny, exempt from all cycles, able to choose whatever we desire whenever we desire it. And in some cases we are. But does that freedom mean that our desires are unpredictable? Marketers and pollsters don't think so, which is why they spend billions learning how to anticipate when people will want to buy certain kinds of products or vote for certain kinds of candidates. The statistical reliability of these patterns doesn't nullify human freedom. The same principle applies to the seculum. It doesn't force anybody to do anything. It doesn't limit anybody's freedom. It merely explains when most people will want to push their own lives more in one direction than in another.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
It doesn't
I love
get
that.
much plainer than that, does it?
No. I think that was a really well done couple of paragraphs there. But it is. We have our freedom, but there's also human nature, and there's human patterns, group patterns, and generational patterns, and historical patterns and cycles and everything. So it's not that it's saying that there's no human freedom or free will. It's just that we tend to do things certain ways as human beings. So
yeah, the discussion on free will, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, that's true.
And I need to get really, really more hot for that.
Absolutely.
Which is my free will.
Yeah, absolutely.
And free me too.
Yep.
Yeah, free will. Yeah,
accidents and anomalies. There is one part here that I really wanted to talk about in accidents and anomalies.
Who could have predicted all these things? Well,
yeah. Well, it looks like these guys. Yeah. The seculum neither predicts nor precludes them. Yes, history always dishes out accidents. We're talking about accidents and anomalies. History always dishes out accidents, but for the seculum, what matters most are not the accidents themselves, but rather society's response to them. Again, events and response. To understand how this works, select an accident, transport it to another decade, and try to replay its effect. Move the Watergate break-in back 40 years. Would circa 1934 America have been receptive to a pair of GI reporters eager to bring down a missionary president recently elected by an enormous landslide? Of course not. Or move the Great Depression forward 40 years. Would circa 1974 boomers have coped with economic bust by cheerfully donning uniforms, joining paramilitary public works programs, and building a TVA? Again, not likely. I
want to see the alternate universe where that happened, though.
That would be kind of funny. Here's the paragraph I wanted to hammer home here. Many experts today claim that technology has become an autonomous force, by itself determining the pace and direction of major social trends. They insist that television is turning Americans into a society of 1,000 niche channels, ensconcing people in private cocoons and dissolving the glue of civic life. They say that computers are enthroning the individual and undermining social authority, and that a cyberspace information revolution is overwhelming governments, globalizing the economy, and rendering national borders irrelevant. All these arguments have some merit, but since these trends are what we would expect in unraveling anyway, remember this book was written in 1997, we should wonder, do these new technologies really change us, or do they just give us precisely what we want when we want it? 40 years ago, in the 1950s, the cathode ray technology we call television was widely considered to be a homogenizing tool that molded national opinions around the consensus messages of Walter Cronkite and Ed Sullivan. Now, TV does just the opposite. 40 years ago, the organized transistor technology we know as the computer conjured up jackbooted images of Big Brother. The whole paradigm for this technology was a mainframe atop an information pyramid. Now, computers symbolize just the opposite. Today's dominant paradigm for this technology is the decentralized personal station plugged into a participatory network. That's a big word.
Yeah.
More often than not, technology tailors itself to the national mood. What we think of that, guys? It can always change. At first, TV was considered a homogenous, bring us all together. We all know the same, but then it all splintered up into their own places, their own factions. And computers, was supposed to connect us all, where we all get along and communicate, and now it's completely divided us.
But at the same time, it does bring us together as well. It's so much easier to communicate.
That's true.
So here's the thing. I feel it's like a self-soothing thing. It's like, if you take a look at it, the technology itself is irrelevant. The technology is going to be here. It's going to change the society for the better, hopefully. And what the technology is irrelevant, because this has been the cycle.
Right.
So it's a way to kind of, set yourself apart from saying, oh, where we're at in technology is bad, because we are so separated. We are, so fragmented. We were going to do that anyway.
Yeah. It was already happening. It was already happening with TV and cable.
It's just being able to have that computer in your back pocket now, and being able to instantly connect to everything at the same time.
Right.
That has just exacerbated the advance of the networking. But it is. It's like, that's our whole livelihoods now, for the most part.
Yeah. This question here was a very interesting one. Do these new technologies really change us, or do they just give us precisely what we want when we want it?
That is a perfect question. Do they? I think, yeah, they just give us what we want when we want it.
Yeah.
Think about
the algorithm, isn't it? Isn't that the algorithm in a nutshell?
It just gives you what you want. It's just, now it's been really super refined. What did we want when industrialization happened? What did we want? We wanted cheaper goods. We wanted more uniform goods.
We wanted jobs. We wanted
people to be working. We wanted, technology to move forward. What happened in the transportation upgrades? Why did we get cars and trains and airplanes? Because we wanted to move forward. We wanted to travel.
We wanted to travel and explore and be adventurous.
We've always been a traveling nation. Technology has traveling people, not just nations.
Adventurous people. Yeah.
We want to go new places. We want to see new things. We as an animal travel for pleasure. Animals don't travel for pleasure. They travel for survival.
Right.
They go to places for, they migrate, they travel, but they travel because they're going to, new areas to feed and to survive. They don't travel for pleasure.
Right.
We're the only species on the planet that travels for pleasure.
And we're one of the few countries, if not the only country on Earth, that was kind of founded by people looking for adventure and travel, and not just for survival, because they were surviving, I guess, in Europe or whatever, but they came to America to look for something different, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's everybody that came here at first. Mm-hmm. They were trying to find something different, and it was we have a very adventurous, travel-minded founding and culture. And we don't even need a passport. It's so big. We have so many places to go. You don't even need a passport.
I got virtual reality. I can just go put a headset on and I'm anywhere. That stuff's getting really good too, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, here's one more thing that I wanted to touch on before we moved on. The linearist view of technology fails to appreciate the dangers a new turning can bring. Now, remember, this is 1990s. Yeah. Microsoft founder Bill Gates is now predicting that everyone will soon tune into a world of unlimited options via high-tech portable devices. What he nowhere mentions is that by merely reversing a few circuits, the same technology could empower a central authority to monitor what every individual is doing. Consider a few other technologies Americans have recently associated with individual choice, birth control, and genetic testing, and imagine a similar shift for them. While few Americans want to revisit the forced sterilization and eugenics vogue of the 1930s, we would be imprudent to declare that a higher tech America will never again lurch in that direction. I thought that was a very interesting paragraph.
Well, it's interesting too, because one of the things people don't really grasp about the internet is that it isn't just in a single entity. It is based on it is broken up into several different major entities that hold huge pieces of the internet. And there are less of them than you think there are. But it is not a centralized. It is not a centralized backbone. The backbone is spread out. One goes down, there's other backups, So they could have. They really could have. When the internet first started, the government could have said, we are going to keep this under our control. But they wisely decided that that was not necessarily a smart thing to do, because
at least in the United States.
Yeah, well, for sure. But,
I can't say that the rest of the world.
But yeah, of course, a country like Iran can cut off access. But the internet itself, is not just one entity overseen by one thing. That's all I'm trying to say. It's not a monolithic organization.
No, not at all. And for years there was.
I gotta get some more water.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, there was some kind of a legislation or concept about the internet, and I could never. What was it called? I'm going to bring up something that I don't remember the name of it. So, never mind. Technology, yay! Does it change you, or does it just give you what you want? I think it probably just gives you what you want, but it also changes us.
Changes what we want. We didn't know.
Yeah, it changes what we want, and it changes kind of how we do things, especially like with the Gen Z and the social media, the kids that have never lived without a screen.
That's my kid.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see as they get older, how that, it's already, you can see how it affects them.
YouTube started 1 month after my kid was born.
Oh, wow. Net neutrality. Thank you, Rachel. Oh my gosh, that's what I was trying to come up with. Is that what net neutrality was all about? About government control over the internet versus freedom? Because I honestly I never understood what they were arguing about.
Yeah, that's more or less. It's that's actually also more like the websites themselves aren't responsible for the content that the users put up on the website.
Gotcha.
That's a lot of what net neutrality is, but it's also about
Okay. Well, good.
Control too, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Government control and carrier control. Okay. I see. I appreciate that. When I don't understand things, like I'll try for a little bit, but if I just don't get it, I just stop and move on and be like, oh well, that's not something for me to know. That's kind of how I am with
more like certain carriers not like promoting certain websites, like if AT&T, they could theoretically skew traffic towards things.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All righty. I'm picking up what you're throwing down now. All right. At the end of this chapter, they give you a nice little breakdown of all these different seculums. This is basically a breakdown of what the book Generations was about. In the millennial, we're in the millennial seculum right now, at the end of it, and the generational constellation that we have right now is Prophet, Boom, and Elderhood, 13th gen, Nomad, and Midlife, Millennial generation. The heroes are in Rising Adulthood, and then Gen Z are the artists. But we're getting ready to all start to shift. And now we get to the Great Champions. So I'm just going to, I'm going to skip over that whole overview of everything, because we've already been through it a million times. No need to beat a dead horse on this one. I think we've all gotten what the turnings mean, what the different generational archetypes mean. And I think we're there. I think we got it. Let's see here. Boom, 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 boom.
No, let's talk about the War of the Roses.
It's a great movie. It's a good 80s movie. All right.
Talking about Richard III.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to make a joke.
I know. It was a good joke, actually. That's a messed up movie, too. I watched that in the theaters, and I have never, ever wanted to see it again. Boy, that movie scared me.
Wasn't it a follow-up to Romancing the Stone, or was it just the same people and not the same?
It was the same actors,
yeah.
But yeah, they were completely. I mean, it was the same three actors. DeVito, Kathleen Turner. Boy, have you seen her lately? She doesn't look like that.
I have not seen Kathleen Turner lately. And then Michael Douglas, was that?
Douglas, yeah. And so the same from Romancing the Stone and Jewel of the Nile. But it's completely different dynamic. And I just remember that movie just scaring me, going, is that what marriage is really like?
Yeah, that was a little bit of a scare there. But shoot, by the time that movie came out, half of our parents were divorced, so we're like, yeah, we get it. All right. The Great Champion.
Dun, 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 dun.
Dun, dun, dun. The
now,
Great Champion.
Comics, who brought you Homelander?
The Great Champion is just something we'll touch on really quick. It's an idea that came from a book by Nathaniel Hawthorne, The Twice Told Tales. Talked about a great champion. It's this elder figure that kind of comes out of nowhere, and they end up being this like leader, this big huge leader in the crisis into the next turning, into the next seculum.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea. It's like a prototype of a superhero,
right?
That became one of the early memes, because they kind of tried to bring him back a couple of times, but he became more of a concept rather than an actual person or even a personage, which I think is something I really like. And honestly, I would love to maybe something that I would love to try and come up with a comic book idea of somebody being
the Great Champion,
of the Great Champion, and
interesting.
What kind of in a I don't know, in some kind of futuristic superhero film.
Yeah, I like that. That's an interesting idea. I like that a lot.
Yeah, maybe I'll work on that.
Yeah. So when our
$1 million idea, you can.
You heard it here first.
Producer.
Nice. When ancestral generations pass through these great gates of history, which are these different crises, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the World War II, when they passed through these great gates of history, they saw in the Gray Champion a type of elder very different from the bustling senior citizens of America's recent past and from the old Uncle Sam's, the Revolutionary War survivors of the 1830s when Hawthorne wrote his tale. Who were these old priest warriors? They were elder expressions of the prophet archetype, and their arrival into old age heralded a new constellation of generations. So, the Great Champion. It was Lincoln in the Civil War times, FDR leading up to the World War II, Thomas Jefferson not Thomas Jefferson, it would have been George Washington and Liberty Generation, I believe. So anyways, I don't really want to get into who the current Great Champion could be. It's a boomer. It's got to, or if it's even a person, it might be more of an idea than a person, like you said. So Great Champion. It's the big leader. It's the big leader of the elder generation, the prophet generation. So it's somebody from the boomers, or it's something boomerish, but will be considered the Great Champion that will herald us into the first turning. Take that as you will. All right.
We did talk a lot about the Great Champion during our
generations. Yeah, we
actually did go into it for like half an hour, I think. So if you want to go back and learn more about our thoughts on the Great Champion, it's there.
Yeah.
Go back and look at the archives.
Yeah, could the Great Champion be a company? I mean, I think it could be a company. It could be a government organization. It could be a president. It could be anything.
I mean, if it was a company, Amazon.
Yeah.
I mean, no other company has changed the way that we live.
Right.
And I'm not, listen, when I say things like that, that's not a judgment of I love Amazon, I hate Amazon.
Oh, absolutely not.
Amazon, that's what came to my mind.
Yeah.
Apple, possibly.
Yep.
You know, I wouldn't think, Microsoft, no. I don't think that they've done enough.
Right.
You know, Windows is not that big of a deal, whereas Apple really did change everything with the iPhone.
Right.
Not so much with the computers, but with the iPhone. Even though
it's it's some type of leader, it's some type of big leader that ushers us through the turnings, or a leadership something. Like it's been I mean, it's just a theory. I'm not really I mean, I get this theory. It's not, to me, it's not a big of a factor in the fourth turning theory or the generational theory as other things. You know,
it's a way to personify the ideas that they're trying to get across.
Right.
And it's taking yet another kind of symbol or icon that has existed in the past and saying, hey, this is something that does keep happening. So look at
right.
Right. In this current time period, or someone or something that that resonates. That's all it really is. But again, it's just reinforcing the cyclic nature.
Yes, exactly.
And there's this. Like on top of all the other things, and then
there's this. Who is the great champion?
Who's this great champion?
Right. And
a comic book near you.
I like your idea. I think that'd be a fun concept.
And it'd be like a Gen Xer, an aging Gen Xer who's like a computer guy. And,
it could, yeah.
And he's a CEO and
absolutely. I have a little bit of a treat for us tonight.
Yes.
Talking about generations, and the way different generations react to different time periods, and the different moods of the different turnings. Tonight, we are going to watch some clips from the pilot episode of Family Ties, which came out in 1982. And for those of you that weren't around then or didn't watch the show, the premise of the show was that these boomer parents who were aging hippies, they were going from rising adulthood into midlife. So they were right on the cusp there, because this was right in 82 when we were going from the second turning until the third, from the awakening into the unraveling. So this was right at that time when we were the last switch in the turnings. So they were boomer parents that were raising Gen X kids. The boomers were the liberal aging hippies, and they had some conservative Gen X kids. So that was kind of the premise of the show. And I wanted to show you guys, here comes the TV cart. I wanted to show you guys some clips from that pilot, and just kind of get your reaction to all of this. So give me just a second and I will bring it up. Let's see, share screen.
Oh, I wanted to, at the time of the pilot, Stephen and Elise Keaton, the parents, they were 39 years old.
Yes.
The oldest would have been 17. Mallory was 15 and Jennifer was 9. And they make a big point of like showing them in the summer of love and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if he was 17 in 82, assuming that it was supposed to be contemporary, he was born in 65.
Right. Alex P. Keaton was the oldest Gen X, was considered one of the oldest Gen Xers. That character
took him to the summer of love, I believe.
Yes, they did, and we're gonna see it, and we're gonna talk about that. So
because they do show us him as a baby there, don't they?
Yes. So let's watch the opening scene. This is the very first scene from the pilot of Family Ties. This is from 1982.
We love it.
Showing how the boomer parents they're at protests. They did all this kind of different traveling, and they always took their kids with them and to all these different places. So there's little Alex and little Mallory.
Yes, it was Dennis Tufano and Mindy Sterling. That Mindy Sterling from Austin Powers.
Oh,
doing the song for the first 10 episodes, and then Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams. For the
okay, all right,
according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I was like, I know that's not Johnny Mathis and Denise Williams. I didn't realize that it only lasted 10 episodes. So, so if you can see on the bottom, let's see here. I can't get off the play button, but anyway, it's Yellowstone Park, August 1976 is what it says on the bottom of the picture. Say it again.
Mallory was 4 years older than I was.
Really? In real life?
No, in real life, she's 5 years older than I am.
Oh, God. Oh, gotcha.
The character is supposed to be 15.
Gotcha. Yeah, and Jennifer was like a couple years older than me. So like I was, I was still very very young when this came. I was only 5 when this show started, when this came out. So Jennifer was like 2 years older than me, I think, maybe 2 or 3 years older.
She's 9, supposed to be.
Oh, she's supposed to be 9. Okay, 4.
Yeah. And Alex is 17, but he's played by 21-year-old.
He always looked like a young boy. It's kind of like that Ralph Macchio quality where they always look about 10 years younger than they really are.
Have you seen Ralph lately? Not much anymore.
Uh-oh. Well, he's probably like 65. I mean, give the guy a break.
True that.
Sting. She just said they would have had parents that were what, GI?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting that they went back to their parents' generation and how they would have reacted to the stuff from their parents.
But you know what? That so rings true, because my parents would have been boomers, and they talked about how their parents talked about the Depression, and my grandparents would talk to me about the Depression.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. Yeah, there is a Family Ties channel on Tubi, and we are actually going to start watching it on my Discord here soon. As soon as we get done with the Incredible Hulk, we're going to switch over to Family Ties and Growing Pains. So,
are you going to do the Hulk movie?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, they suck really hard, but we have to have them because it was the last of Bill Bixby in the role. So, yes. That was interesting that they're showing parents who are together, still married, and still into each other. That was becoming less and less the norm around this time when the divorce numbers really started to explode.
We didn't start to see a lot of single parents in the 80s. We went back to the nuclear family in the 80s, or at least the parents were together.
Right.
The kids maybe adopted.
Right.
There were not very many shows, not in the 80s. Now in the 90s.
But in the 60s there were. You had Andy Griffith's show, you had My Three Sons, you had The Courtship of
They weren't
Father.
divorced. They're widowed.
They were all widowed. Right. They were all
widowed. Courtship of Eddie's father. Dude was widowed.
Yep. And then you had the first blended family with the Brady Bunch.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it went into it. The 80s definitely in the Reagan era, and this probably reflects the turnings a little bit, but the familial state still showing the nuclear family, the strong nuclear family. This was the last decade that really and dads that weren't buffoons. We still had competent dads in our
pre-Simpsons.
Yeah. The Simpsons was when that started, and the Married with Children. Yeah,
Married with Children and the Simpsons. That was
1987.
1988.
That was the kind of the opening scene that I wanted to show you all what the generational differences. Let's see. The Brady Bunch didn't show how each parent became single. No, I think Mike was a widower, but they're both widowers.
Yeah, technically, yeah. No, for one, for sure, they never actually said.
Yeah.
In the show Bible, which isn't necessarily official, they are both widowed.
Okay.
And of course, the reboot movies from the 90s.
Classic.
Her original husband is still alive.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I can't even remember that, but there's they never actually. They were going to talk about. They were going to have Carol be divorced, but at the last.
They brought up her first husband, like in the very, like maybe the pilot or the first couple of episodes, but then they never mentioned him again.
Right.
So yeah, that was a very, very, very forward for its time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we got to get past the phone calls. They're all answering the phone and Alex is trying to get a date. And he gets a date with a really hot girl.
Also, one thing I wanted to point out in that earlier scene. Did you notice how Steven's attitude towards, towards Alex was like, you should be more free-spirited, blah, blah,
yes.
blah. Be having fun in life, whereas he was kind of telling Mallory, he was giving her the business for her dating.
Yeah.
That was definitely, the gender bullshit was still despite him supposed to be being a hippie boomer.
He's also a dad of a growing girl. That's going through puberty.
He can't have any agency whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then remember when she brings home Nick. I mean, give me a break.
That was the best. Oh, I love when she brought home Nick. Well, she's almost 10. Give her the credit card.
I was 11 years old, and my mom literally gave me $10 and said, go to the comic book store for a while. It just opened. You should go check it out.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Boomer parenting. Kick him out. We want to be alone. Get rid of the kids.
It's a Saturday. I mean, what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
San Diego weather. I had a bike.
Elliot Janeway is.
I don't either.
Now I'm going to have to look it up. Hold on.
Yeah,
all right. American economist and journalist.
Oh. Must be somebody that must be a economist. Yeah, that makes
sense. For a time, his ideas gained some influence within the administration of President Franklin Roosevelt. He was an informal economic advisor to Lyndon Johnson. So he was at times a vigorous critic of the economic policies of presidents from Roosevelt to Reagan. So anyway, is an economist. had to get that right. I was like, who's Elliot Janeway?
What?
How much longer of this? A couple more minutes.
I don't even get the joke though.
Yeah, what? I don't either.
That doesn't make any sense because
you think the economist is going to call Alex?
Well, what's the joke there? I mean, yeah. Would Alex even want to talk to him because he's Republican, he's right wing? Right. Why would you? Elliot Janeway probably had policies that he wouldn't have hated.
Yeah, that was a weird joke.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, not knowing who it is now that I know, I just don't get it.
Yeah, yeah. I don't understand. I find this very interesting that this was a pilot episode of a sitcom. Just a very, very interesting storyline. And a very interesting reaction to what she just said. It's like, don't you understand the ramifications of this? Like, what a big... And he's like, I just want to go to a party. I don't want to change the world.
There's a line in a song by the late Kirsty MacColl. I don't want to change the world. I'm just looking for a New England. Are you looking for another girl?
Yeah.
Hello. Welcome to Every Generation's Response.
Yeah, and welcome to Strauss and Howe Generational Theory. This is such a great example of just the different generations and how they react to things and how they, and why they do the things that they do. Episode, well, not the entire thing, but that was excerpts from the pilot episode of Family Ties. So, generations. We all do things differently.
Yeah, they're both 39. That was supposed to be 82, so they're both 43 born.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And fun fact: Michael Gross and Meredith Baxter were born on the exact same day.
I saw that.
Yeah. So they were the exact same age.
And they're playing older. They're not. Yeah. They were only 37 when they filmed.
Yep, they were playing a little bit older, and Michael J. Fox was playing younger. So they were a little bit closer in age than, I think they're only about 15 years apart. Gross and
yeah, something like that.
Well, a little bit longer than that, maybe 18 years apart. Anyways, so you like that? Well, I'm glad you like that. Yeah, I thought it was a really interesting representation of just the different generations and how, you just
that whole show was a great representation of both sides of Gen X, given Mallory and even what's
even Jennifer, because she's the younger one. Yeah.
Towards the end, she got some good stuff, but really showing the three kids as being Gen X versus their boomer parents, because they were clearly boomers, and that was one of the first shows to really show boomers as parents.
Yes, and it was also the first to really acknowledge the generation behind boomers, the Gen Xers of it all. Like they were very different from the boomers, and because Gen X didn't even get their name until the late 80s, early 90s, when they really didn't enter the conversation in generational theory or anything until about 5-7 years after this episode. So this was definitely a new thing. Because beforehand you had All in the Family, which had just ended in 82, 81.
And that was about a baby boomer versus a greatest generation.
Exactly. Exactly.
So you have those shows. You always will have those shows where you're having the generations, what was it? Daddy Knows Best in the 50s, You always will have those shows.
Yeah. I consider Michael J. Fox a Generation Xer as well.
We all do.
We all do. Strauss and Howe theory.
We know he plays young. We know that he played younger. He was born in 61, but he himself would say he's Gen X and not a boomer.
Yeah.
He's just not a boomer.
No. Not at all. Not in any way.
Marty McFly was a freaking high school kid.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox and Marty McFly. He played two of the most well-known Gen Xers of the 80s, right. And I will,
slightly older, those characters he played.
Yeah, he's an Xer, 100%. So next week we are going to be hitting the first turning.
Yeah.
So that will be our chapter for next week, and which is chapter 6. The American High. Now, while you're reading this chapter, think about how this could look in the next 20 years, because we're getting ready to hit an American High, in theory. So think about what's going on in this first turning, and think about what could be going on in our next one, which should be hitting in the next few years. So that's what I would recommend you think about as you read this chapter. What about you, Grendelson? Any thoughts? Any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I'm really optimistic for the next turning, for the first turning. But
yeah,
it'll be good to go back and look at like the last first turning that we had that we missed out on. So hopefully we can make our first turning even better than theirs. I've been hearing all my life about how the 60s were amazing.
Right.
I want to have my own amazing time period, and it's going to be the 2030s. Woohoo!
Yep.
Or it's going to be the end of the it's the end of the 2020s. One of the two.
Oh, yes, the American High starts on number 4, page 420. It's a great joke. They really should have made that happen. Oh, thank you, Reprimanda. You know what I have a little inside. I actually kind of fixed my hair. Okay. I'm going to start fixing my hair when I'm on camera. And I've decided to go a little bit more 80s. I bought myself a set of hot rollers.
Woo! Did you get some oil to go with it?
I bought some Aquanet hairspray.
Ooh, killing the planet.
So,
up until a few years ago, I still used gel. I still used for a few years ago, and actually I probably should get some, because I usually just slick everything back.
Yep. Yeah. I've never been a girly girl when it comes to like doing my hair or makeup or, you know, like I did not get that gene of you know, like being really feminine and really working on that kind of a thing. So I was like, you know what? I'm about to hit 100,000 subscribers. I'm going to be streaming twice a week on camera this summer. I probably should, like, you know, get some hot rollers out. And I also bought banana clips to pull my hair back in banana clips. So I bought some 80s type things for my hair to try to go a little bit of a more 80s look this summer. So
it's a hot 80s hair summer.
Yes, it is. It's a hot 80s hair summer. I want to bring it back. I want to bring back the you know, the hair and the bangs and the feathers and the, you know, I want to bring it all back. I've done the sleek straight hair for so long. I just want to have a little fun.
I gotta show you my senior high school yearbook.
Oh yeah, yeah. I definitely need to see that.
You need hair. Yeah.
I think I have mine.
Oh, I know.
But 1995, I took away the crazy hair. I tried to do I take that back. This is terrible. He's going to get his. Let's see.
Ooh, it's a little dusty.
Yeah. Look at that. That's a terrible. I don't know why I chose that photo to be my senior photo. That's terrible.
You got to choose?
Yeah, we got to submit our own photos for seniors did.
Oh,
but I had some other options. Here, I'll show you my other options. The reason I have these pictures handy is because I'm currently making a video about 90s Gen X movies, and I pulled out some pictures of myself from that time period. You guys are gonna love this. Here was one of my senior photos. Nice! Sign of the Times, 88. Mine was Nights in Review. Rated excellent, 1995. Here is my photo from my senior year.
There I am.
I'm so serious. I can't wait to see this. Bring it on.
I'm right next to my finger. I don't know.
Get it in there so I can see you. Look at you. Look at that hair. Suit and tie and everything. That's a great senior photo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, one of the best pictures I ever took.
Yeah, that's a really good photo. That's one that you
still has that one framed on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was one of my. We did senior photos. Baby. I know, right? Look how hot I am. Oh, baby.
Oh,
and then here's me at graduation.
Oh, you're so cute.
I know, right? I'm trying not to get my light to glare off of it, but yep, that's me at graduation. Now, I can go earlier in the decade. Here's me in 1990 when I was 13.
Oh, look at you.
Look at that hair.
Oh, I love it.
And after I saw this photo, I was like, I'm going to buy some banana clips because I was wearing a banana clip in this photo. So if you don't know what a banana clip is, it's this long hair clip that kind of looks like a banana, and you put it on the bottom and you swipe it up in the back and it pulls up into like this long ponytail. But anyway, yeah, I was a cheerleader. It's true. Here's me on the field. Like, I have so many photos.
You were a cheerleader and then you were a sideline reporter.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a story from the cheerleader to the sideline.
Yeah. To prison.
To prison for weed. Well, you see, listen, I was never going to mention it. So.
Hey, it's a big part of my life, you know.
I'll wait for that video.
How many kids were in my graduating class? About 200. So, yeah, around there. How about you, Grindleson? How many kids were in your graduating class?
About 100.
About 100. Oh, you went to a really small school.
Really small school. But it was, like I said, it was a nerd school, and it was 6 years. So.
Right. Okay, it was a 6-year. I was getting ready to ask you what grades did they have.
Yeah, we went from 7th to 12th.
Gotcha.
And the junior high was open to everyone. But the high school you had to test into, and that was a magnet program.
Gotcha.
And my school was located in the hood. So the local parents got very upset because their kids would be able to go to the school for the first 3 years, and then they'd have to go somewhere else. Like Lincoln High School was the other school in the area. They couldn't test into the magnet program, and it became a shit show.
I can see that.
Yeah. But while I was there, it was pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Sounds like it.
One of the last graduating classes that really got a good experience. My friends who graduated a couple of years later said it went downhill real quick.
Yeah.
Of 2000, it no longer exists.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, it's really weird knowing that my high school as it was is gone. You know, there's this high school there, and it's named the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
They have sports. We never had sports.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely a different thing. Is it still a magnet school or considered oh yeah, it's not there anymore.
It's a charter school now.
A charter school.
Yeah, no. I mean, we didn't have sports. We had a room in 1986 that had 30 Macintoshes in it. They were all connected.
1986. Wow.
1986.
In 86, we had a couple of Commodores, but that was about it.
That was just our Mac lab. Our other computer labs were all connected to the mainframes. So yeah, we had computer classes in the 80s. I took my first programming classes in the 80s at high school.
Wow, we didn't have that until 92. But when they brought all the internet stuff to the school, because the high school was where we all had to call in to connect to the internet. There was 8 phone lines. But it went through the physics department because we didn't have the head of the physics department was so into the whole internet stuff. So he headed it up and brought it all in and set it all up and everything. But we didn't have a tech department until 94, 95 when the computer labs were being built and everything. But we had it there in the early 90s for a little bit. But yeah, I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader too for a little while in my childhood. Or a Laker girl. Or,
yeah, I mean, there was a time period where that was a big aspiration for little girls in this country.
Absolutely.
Obviously it still is, and I think the rise of cheering as an actual sport itself is pretty cool.
Yeah, it turned into an industry when I was in it, the late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, it turned into at first it was just, you represent your team and you do some routines, but then late 80s, early 90s popped around, and it was the UCA came in, the Universal Cheer Association, and then it got merchandise and brands and sure. I got corporatized big time and became a big thing. So. But yeah, so this was fun. This was a good night. I really enjoyed this conversation. I think it was a good one overall.
It is always fun. It's a good book club. We had a rollicking comment section tonight.
Yeah, when I rewatch this, I'm gonna have to go through the comments and see what was going on there. I hope there was nothing too bad going on there. Am I gonna have to bring in a mod for this?
I don't know. I don't think so. No, I didn't see anything that was no. I mean,
okay, good.
People have great opinions and they have their own experiences, and
100%.
We're not trying to discount anybody's experience here.
Not
Your
at all.
experience is your own, and it's unique, and we're not trying to offend anyone here. We're just
not at all. But I do want to be realistic about what was going on, and everybody's personal experience is going to be different, and sure. I want to hear it. This is what we're losing so much. There's so many myths and legends on the internet about what life was like or what experiences were like for boomers and for Gen X and for the before times. And I like really talking about our experiences.
I call pre 9/11 that too.
Yep, that's my term for it. The before times.
It is. It totally is. People don't understand that life dramatically changed on that day and has not been the same ever since. And listen, there was a day like that in 1986 when the Challenger exploded. So, these things
and 1963.
Happen.
Yep, it happened.
1963. Yeah, damn.
Yep, it happens. So, I like the real, frank and honest discussions. We're all adults here. We've had great experiences in our life. We've had terrible experiences in our life. Nobody's had a perfect life, but it's good to have our experiences talked and shared about, and to learn from one another. And because again, we are the leaders of the next decade. Our generation are the leaders of the next decade. And we've got to be honest with ourselves about where we've come from and what we've experienced and where we want to go as a generation, as a society. And we're the ones in charge, guys. Boomers have been in charge our whole freaking lives. It's about to change. We actually get to drive the car. We are the ones that get to decide if we turn around and go home if we don't mind and get our shit together. So if for the first time, we're the ones that get to choose. So these are good conversations to have. And
we are also the ones that are raising the next generation.
100%. Yeah. We've got to make the millennials and Gen Z, we've got to help them as they move into their next phases of life, because again, they don't remember a first turning. They don't remember a second turning. They've only lived in the unraveling and the crisis. And that is a big deal when you really think about that. They have never lived in a high or an awakening, and we have barely experienced it. So we were lucky enough to grow up in the awakening, but we didn't get to experience the American high. So these are things you want to keep in mind as we raise our children and our grandchildren, and as we become leaders of businesses and corporations and government agencies over the next decade. You just got to remember, these kids have never experienced the good stuff. And I want to change that. And history tells us that they're going to get it. So we just got to get through these next few years.
Well, taking it one day at a time. So
Nomads unite. That's right, Jamie. I agree. Yep, we got to talk about things to work through it. And our generation is the one to do it. We're the only ones that can be honest and forthright about things. We're not afraid of speaking our mind and being pragmatic about things and being real about things and confronting things head on. We've always been the generation that just gets thrown into the deep end and you learn how to swim. And that's been our whole lives. Go out. Here's a credit card. Here's $20 cash. Be back in 5 hours. I don't want to see you until then. That's we're about to be in charge, guys. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know. Thank you, Grendelson, for a wonderful discussion. I appreciate you. I will see everybody next Tuesday. Remember, Discord tomorrow night, Little House and Cobra Kai. Thursday night is Incredible Hulk, and we started Las Vegas, which is awesome. Get to see Nikki Cox every week, Smoke and Josh Duhamel. Yummy. And also Friday nights, I'm back on Friday night live stream. Grendelson, I'm gonna give you one free pass because you didn't get to it last Friday, but I better see you on Friday. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week. I will see you when I see ya. Bye.